All right, welcome in the New Arenas episode 7. I am Vince Quinn. That is Ryan McCumber. Ryan, how you doing?
Good, good. All good in Portugal these days. Hanging in there.
Yeah, it looks nice. Sun is not set, so another beautiful look for you. Very jealous. Now we've got something new that we're doing today. We have somebody that we haven't spoken to, although we are going through the Hype Global Virtual Accelerator still. So who do we have, and how? Well, actually, we have more than one person. So how many people do we have? What's the whole situation here?
So great. Thanks for asking. We actually have today's a special day. There's a company that I've been working with for a little while now called Robo Point Guard. I'll repeat that: Robo Point Guard, or RPG, as we like to call the little robot.
RPG is smooth. I like that.
RPG is smooth. They were accepted into the accelerator, and they're accepted by FIBA. So FIBA is the world governing body for basketball. I mean, I don't think the NBA would ever agree that they, quote unquote, govern them. At the end of the day, the NBA is in charge of everything. But FIBA is the world governing body for all basketball around the world. Pretty amazing group. I've known them for a little while. They work out of Switzerland, and they control the Basketball World Cup, all the basketball tournaments, all the way back to way back when for the U.S. But the special guest we have, in addition to Bill Krivak, the CEO and founder of Robo PG, we also have a global ambassador that just joined Robo Point Guard, Jerome Williams. That's Jerome Williams, 9-year NBA player, superstar at Georgetown, came out with Iverson, played many years against our Villanova Wildcats there in Philly, many years against the Sixers. He was at the Raptors, the Knicks, many other teams I'm probably forgetting, but he had nine solid years in the NBA.
Yeah, and he's got a great nickname, by the way, Junkyard Dog, which is an excellent nickname.
So I'm excited to have him. We've actually had a couple of calls with him. He's out in Vegas. Also is almost a celebrity on the 3-on-3 circuit, doing a lot of stuff on his own, and one of the true ambassadors of the sport.
Yeah. Now, real quick, just so we get to know each other a little bit better here. So we'll get to the interview in just a second. You ever had a nickname?
Did I ever have a nickname?
Did you ever have a nickname? I'm putting you on the spot here, but I got to know.
I hear you, and I really didn't. I'm trying to think, but no, I didn't. In the basketball terms of a nickname, growing up, I didn't really have a nickname that stuck. I was always just a skinny little kid.
Okay, yeah. See, I had a brief stint where I was known as Seahorse for a very brief amount of time. That was my nickname, because I went to a local pool and people would jump on my back, and yeah.
I really didn't. I mean, everyone called me by last name McCumber or Cucumber.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you must have gotten a lot of that.
Yeah, I got a lot of Cucumber, yeah.
All right. So, I am Vince Quinn. That is the Cucumber. We are powered by Fist, and let's get to the interview.
So, for the first and only guest today, we're going to have Robo Point Guard, founder and CEO Bill Krivak. But in addition to that, we also have Robo Point Guard's new global ambassador, Jerome JYD Williams, 9-year veteran of the NBA. We'll let him describe in a second. But Bill, before we get started, just a few words on Robo Point Guard, what it is, and kind of the accelerator and so forth.
Well, thanks, Ryan. So really what Robo Point Guard is, it's a shooting machine, okay? But essentially what it is, it's a way for players to develop their outside game, their inside game by working with what we would consider a mobile shooting machine. And it's really one of a kind in that it moves around the court to create kind of like a game-like atmosphere for the players so that they can catch and shoot passes from different locations on the court. And also the ball, any shots that they take, there's a shooting net that basically catches the made and missed shots so that it sort of maximizes the shooting reps for the players. But if in simplest terms, to kind of think of the way it operates, if you understand how a Roomba vacuum operates, or an iRobot, where it kind of moves out and moves to certain locations, and when it needs to return back to its home base, it comes back and it drops off whatever it collects. In this particular case, Robo Point Guard, the device moves out to certain locations on the court, passes you the balls. When it's out of passing the balls, it realizes it's out, comes back to the docking station, it loads up 5 more basketballs, and then it goes back out and does it all over again. So we built a first version prototype, and we are now several months away from completing what we consider the production ready model that then will help towards start manufacturing the first round of units.
Wow. So the thing sounds amazing to just have something that's just moving around a court and passing you the ball and refilling, by the way, which is huge. So I think just on a fundamental level, it's awesome. But I guess out of curiosity with just how this thing works. So if I'm there and I want to shoot shots, and trust me, I need the work. If I'm taking a bunch of shots here, how do I program the robot in terms of where to go on the court and when to pass me the ball? Like, how does all that work?
Great question, Vince. So you can pre-program it with your smartphone, or there's actually a touch pad on the device itself. And there are certain coordinates on the court, whether that's top of the key, elbows, corner, and you can send it out to those particular locations. They can be sort of pre-mapped ahead of time, or it can actually do random, where it can move out to just various spots and you got to kind of move with it. But ultimately, it knows when it's out of basketballs and it's set them all out, and that's when it knows it goes back to the docking station to get more and then go back and do its thing.
Wow. So then when it comes to the passing, do you line yourself up with where it's going to shoot things out? Like, I think of, for example, with the NFL, you see guys catching passes and they have that machine that's aimed at them. Like, how do you direct the ball and where it's going, or have it aim at you?
Well, there are several adjustments that you can make. So you can change the type of pass. So you can either have a chest pass, bounce pass, or lob. You can change the speed at which the passes come out. So if you want them coming out really fast and hard, you can do that. Or if you want to kind of lob it into you can do that as well. So there's several modifications you can make to make sure that you're catching it kind of exactly where you want to get it. But ultimately, when you're playing a game, the passes aren't equal. They're not all the same. You have to be able to catch them in different ways in different locations. And we think that by kind of doing that and replicating that, that's a good way for the shooters to kind of practice those game-like situations.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you said that, by the way, because that was one of the things that was going through my head, is if it's passing the ball a certain way every single time, then you're going to be so fine-tuned to that, and that's not how it's going to translate. So I guess how much thought went into putting something like this together? Because obviously it's a really thoughtful product that you guys have here.
A lot of thought. So there are two main manufacturers out there right now that make devices, the quote unquote traditional shooting machines, and they're great at sort of maximizing the shooter's reps, and they're very popular. The players like using them, the kids like using them. But I thought there's got to be a way to incorporate movement, because when you're playing the game, there's just so much going on and you're constantly moving around, and you're catching it from those different locations. I thought, well, what if we could have something that moves around? And so we came up with the first version. It was clunky. It really didn't do everything that we needed to do. But as time went along, we kind of came up with a modified version, and now we think we have something that is going to be ideal.
Okay, and so now that you got this whole thing, I guess, Jerome, for you, the first time that you hear about this, I mean, what is your reaction to it? Have you used it all? What do you make of it?
Well, being a coach at a high-power high school basketball,
So Jerome, you're coming out there, got disconnected a little bit. Let's just pick back up unless he becomes back on. Bill, maybe you can just tell us, I mean, you talked about the differentiators there, and the way I saw it, and Bill, when you approached me about this 6 months ago, was my first reaction with, there are no more passes that come from underneath the basket. The Patrick Ewings of the world are outdated. There's no more center down below. And the passes always come from the side. Whether it's the left side, the right side, there's the pass is coming to you. So this robot literally takes the ball from under the basket, goes out to the side, and sends it back to you. So you catch a proper pass off you shoot. The pass isn't coming to you from under the basket, back out and shooting. It's always coming from the sides.
Yeah, like I said, the traditional shooting machines really just sit underneath the basket and throw you the ball. Again, which is great for reps, but when you're when you're trying to simulate what happens in the game, and especially in this day and age where you don't get to practice with your teammates, players need to get as close to game-like reps as they possibly can. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And that's why I think even going forward, where we're kind of practicing in isolation, it might be beneficial for all the players.
So Jerome, I see you're back with us, and I think you went on your computer now. What intrigued you to Robo Point Guard? When I first told you about this, walk us through your thoughts in your head. I think your son even uses something that you said, well, if they can do this, this is great. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had the first opportunity to meet Bill and through Ryan, and being a former high-power high school basketball coach at Findlay Prep, we used to use the gun, and that was something that, for guys to get up extra shots. It was great for coaches because, we rebound a lot, but you have multiple players who you have to work on their form and different movements on the court. So later on, my son, he obviously is, he's a 10-year-old now, and he's a basketball phenom. So I had to get the latest and greatest gun shooter, which is Dr. Dish. It programs the shots all over the court. It runs different drills, and it's all great. So when Bill came up with his idea and his invention to actually have a robot, a RoboBot basketball playmaking,
We call it RPG.
There you go, RPG. That's going to actually interact with the player. That's right up my alley, because it's something that is needed in the space. If you think of, coronavirus and all these things, the one thing that the basketball, devices to this point have done is that they rebound underneath the basket. And when they rebound underneath the basket, the ball is passed back out basically from underneath the basket. This is great for getting up is a lot of shots. My son shoots, over 200 makes a day, can get up over 500 shots a day. But what that doesn't do is sort of simulate game-like situations, whether it be plays, whether it be, getting players in certain pick and roll aspects. That has to be done with a live person. Now, I'm 47 years old. I'm an ex-pro. Sure, I can get out there for a couple of minutes, right? But at the end of the day, I'm thinking of the parents. I'm thinking of the other coaches that can't move like the dog pound that you see on my show. That's where Bill's invention, and I signed on to be the brand ambassador for, all comes into play. Because if you have a machine that can actually go rebound the balls, like Bill's saying, retrieve 5 basketballs, and then as my son gets turnovers or whatever the case may be, there's another ball right there in the robot ready to fire off. And he's running pick and rolls. He's coming off screens from the baseline, which is more game-like, and he's able to, be coached on his form, his shooting, his platform, as well as his movement coming off of screens that can be simulated with cones. So that's where the RPG is going to be a game changer. And that's why I'm on board. And we're going to make this RPG one of the baddest, technological sports tech, inventions of its time. We're going to hit CES, and we're going to need extra people for all the orders that are going to come in, because it's going to be on fire.
So fantastic. I love that. Billy, you want to tell us about who you're selected by in the accelerator and what your thoughts are on the accelerator?
Sure. So I pitched to a number of different, we pitched to the 2 main focuses for basketball were the Warriors the Golden State Warriors along with FIBA. I was fortunate, or we were fortunate enough to be selected by FIBA. So, you can't think of a bigger international organization than FIBA. The reach that they have is tremendous. So I think to be able to speak with them, their product innovation team, their everyone within that organization, any kind of input, introductions, because as we know, the game of basketball is a global game. It no longer is just the NBA. So, of course, being somehow involved with the NBA would be great too, but certainly on a global scale, it just has tremendous reach, and I think it's a great opportunity. So we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you should be. And the other thing is too, like Jerome, for example, when you were a player in the league, how often were you, say, during the summer, were you taking shots by yourself? Like, as much you talk about kids and for them to train, I mean, is this something we could reasonably see? And is this something you would have used when you were pro?
Absolutely. You know, I had a gun machine when I was a pro, and we're always looking for that edge. But a lot of times, you know, you have to, you know, sign up with the coach. You have to have a rebounder there. You need all these different things. But as I work with my son, just, you know, in the coming days, you know, the parents, the coaches that see his development over a few month period always ask, well, what are you doing with him? Why is he so advanced? And it's only through technology. I am able to supply my son with things that, you know, I see out on the marketplace, that I know that if I'm not out there rebounding or doing something for him, if I can use a tool that can actually be cost effective enough for me to allow him to go out there and continue his training, you know, it's just going to accelerate his growth and as a player. And same thing with the high-powered high school players and college players. They're all trying to get the edge, and you can only do that with more shots. As a pro, I knew this. You know, I'd go home over the summer, and I just put up as many shots as I could, and that came from not always having a human being underneath the basket rebounding and passing it out to you. You know, it's the difference between, you know, Kobe Bryant shooting 500 shots and 1,000 shots, you know, to 2,000 shots.
Yeah. So Jerome, we're going to come back to you in 1 second. So Bill, just a final parting word for Robo Point Guard, anything you want to say to the audience. We're going to follow your journey with FIBA throughout, so we'll stay involved with you, but anything you want to say, just one last word on Robo Point Guard?
Just be ready. It's going to be a pretty exciting time. Like I said, we're a few months away from getting that production ready model unit done, but we think things are going to pretty much take off from here, especially with the relationship now that we formed with Jerome and having him as a brand ambassador, and certainly too with the potential working relationship that we'll have with FIBA. We think it's going to provide a lot of tremendous reach, and we're looking forward to it.
Excellent. So good luck with the rest of the journey. Let's shift over a couple other questions for Jerome here. And I'm actually going to ask the first one, and Jerome, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So Vince and I are both from Philly. We know you went to Georgetown. I was a diehard for the record, I'm a diehard Big East fan. So it was all Syracuse, Georgetown, and Nova. Eventually my loyalty started to shift towards Nova, but tell us about any of the Villanova, Georgetown rivalries when you were there, and anything that comes to your mind when someone says Villanova or Georgetown and your time at Georgetown.
Yeah, Villanova and Georgetown, we had some awesome battles as I was playing there in my Hoya days. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me take you to a photo.
Okay.
You know, me right there.
Ah,
Nice.
Getting it done, right? That was in the Capital Center. I was dunking.
Center, yeah.
This one right here, they actually gave me a piece of the court right there.
Nice. Nice.
So we get it done. We get it done. Villanova is definitely one of the highlights, because one thing I loved about Villanova is that Philly cheesesteak. Okay. Get one of those Philly steaks before the game, and I was good to go. Allen Iverson, he was ready to rock and roll. We were going up against Kerry Kittles and Lawson. Lawson was one of their big guys at the time.
Yeah.
And they had my future teammate, Alvin Williams. We called him Boogie. Mm-hmm. So he had the Philly crossover versus Allen Iverson's, DMV crossover.
Mhm.
And we had some great games, great highlights, but the best game we had was my senior year in the Capitol Center. We're going up against them, and I must have had like 3 dunks. I was putting them in the blender box with my crossover, had like 17 points, 15 rebounds. We killed them, and President Clinton was at the game.
Fantastic.
So,
Just
so
imagine
that
how
was
many outside shots you might have hit if you had Robo point guard.
exactly.
So,
With
so I never,
RPG,
I
that
never
would've
told you
been
this, Jerome. I actually lived in Georgetown for a little while. I used to work at the Tombs. If you remember the bar, the Tombs, I used to
Come
work
on.
there. Summer, actually, when Iverson just came in, I think it was 93, 94. I was there when I was in college. I was working down there and did a summer internship. But fantastic campus. Obviously, the whole neighborhood of Georgetown is fantastic. Vince, some other questions you might have that I have.
Well, yeah, one, I got to get my Philly bias out too real quick. I mean, what was it like being teammates with AI? Obviously, he's such a Philly icon. We talk about him doing Philly radio. We talk about him all the time. What was it like playing with him?
I don't know if
Man, let me tell you something. That guy right there was unbelievable. He was unbelievable to watch, unbelievable to practice with every day, because you were just so amazed at what he could do at such a small stature. His athleticism, his quickness, his strength, his balance. The kid was on balance, going at that type of speed was just, something that had never been seen. And you really, get kind of a better picture when you kind of watch his old football highlights, because
Yeah.
he was doing with the football, like moving and shaking and juking and going through holes, getting contact, running into guys. That's basically what he took to the basketball court. And it was just sort of like most players weren't really, doing that kind of stuff. So it was very exciting. And to come
he
in
was
there.
a better Michael Vick in Hampton, Virginia than Vick was, I think. I don't remember who was first, but one of them was
Exactly.
both star quarterbacks there.
That's right. So it was really special to see him and his growth, and obviously his career in the NBA turned out to be Hall of Fame. And what can you say?
Yeah. So let me ask you about this then too, because obviously like now, and I'm just getting into this whole sports tech scene, so it's new to me to see like how deep it is and how many ideas there are, and it's so involved these days. I mean, what was it like when you're in the league? Like, what was the understanding of sports tech? What was the most advanced stuff you were dealing with it, and how different is that from today?
Well, I think when I was in the league, sports tech was not as definitely wasn't as flamboyant as it is today. The technology wasn't there yet. Cell phones. I remember having a flip phone. If you could dial and text, that was big, and especially if you weren't using numbers to substitute for letters, that was a huge thing. And the smartphone hadn't been designed yet. There wasn't social media. We didn't have Twitter followers or IG when I was playing. I wish we had, but we didn't. And the tech was really just what's the latest cell phone? That was like the biggest thing. Like, what's the next model? What does it do? I remember when we first could play music on the cell phone, so you didn't have to carry a CD player in one hand and your cell phone in the other hand. That was big. That's the tech that I was, kind of used to going up through my days of the NBA. Now, when I retired, going to the CES show, it was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, whoa, this is really awesome. I started going every year, and I'd always see the latest and greatest things that were coming out. I was seeing how the chips were getting bigger and badder. The processors were getting smaller. And I could see the writing on the wall. Like, there's going to be all kinds of new things that are going to be established that are going to help the game. I mean, from, shot tracking to how many times a kid dribbles a basketball. And, that's the kind of tech that us athletes really thrive on and look at, because, it does make parents' jobs easier, coaches' jobs easier, and gets more kids playing.
Yeah, I think we should mention, Jerome, you live in Vegas. You've been going to CES every year. So you're kind
That's
of
it.
a CES groupie, so to say.
I am. I'm a CES. And look, I go in there and I get endorsements all day, just walking around.
Understood. So Jerome, tell us about some of your endeavors you're working on right now. I know about Players TV. I think that's Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony. Tell us about Players TV, then we'll go from there.
Oh, yeah, Players TV, man. Players TV is off the hook. Signed a deal with Samsung TV Plus, and basically, out the gate, you have players who have over 40 million viewers at our disposal. This is a channel that's just basically dedicated to players' content, similar to Players Tribune, but on television. So
on video.
Yeah, on video. So the most unique thing about Players TV is the fact that Samsung TV Plus signed Players TV because they already have free Samsung TV Plus on every Samsung device.
Okay.
So if you think about that monopoly right there alone is already setting the stage for other networks such as Netflix and others to grab this content. And it puts players in a different bargaining situation than they've ever been.
You become your own media entity, basically.
You become your own media entity. So if you have content, if you have ideas, if you can produce shows, if you look at the landscape today, you look at all these different players, they're producing documentaries, docu-series, they're creating their own content, whereas Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, partners in, Player TV already is Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, Carmelo, Dwayne Wade. These guys all have content.
And it's even outside of basketball too. Some of it's just a cooking show or stuff they do on the side. It's just original content from the athletes, right?
Wow.
Exactly. I mean, if you would have seen me on Christine Cushing's show, whipping up my famous barbecue ribs, I mean, I was coming through I had people licking the TV screen. They wanted at those ribs. There's just all types of content that players produce. My car shows. I got a new hit TV show coming out called Ballers Garage. Okay. Ballers Garage. Think MTV Cribs, right? And it's just the cars though, just the cars. And I've had everybody on the show, from Tim Duncan, Old Man Riverwalk. Yep, he was on the show. And he had a Porsche on there. You'd be like, okay, I didn't even know Tim could fit in that kind of stuff. But that's Old Man Riverwalk. I got him on the show. Dwight Howard. Oh, you got to see his Flash Gordon. What did he have? He had a Flash Gordon Hellcat. Oh my gosh, Dodge Charger. It was painted, red with yellow interior. He had a system in there to blow your ears out. Trevor Ariza. I've had Harrison Barnes on the show. Just a long, thunderous list of players getting it done. I mean, champion, NBA champion Kyle Lowry's on the show.
You had that great show, but you didn't have a medium, you didn't have an outlet for it, right? So now you're saying today, now you have there's this new outlet. So
that's right.
You can go create the same show, but it's something new. I think you're going to do some sort of, did I hear they're going to do an animated cartoon? Is that what we're doing?
Got animation. Oh man. And, we got some of the best animators on the planet. And, shout out to Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. Kobe had a great animated story, right? That won him awards. And players were looking at this like, that was cool, Kobe. That was cool of you to do that. That, man, I wonder if I can do animation. And sure enough, Dog Pound comes in. What's up with JYD show? Animated. It's like Sports Center, Scott Van Pelt on steroids. Yeah, I'm giving you the latest, greatest, but I'm not going to all sports. I'm only talking basketball. I'm staying in my lane. I know what's going on. I know what the players are thinking. I know what the fans are thinking.
We
Why? Because I
anticipate
was a fan.
RPG showing up on this cartoon?
Absolutely. RPG's already in the cartoon. Are you kidding? Bill's already in there. When he signed me as a brand ambassador, he knew what he was doing. He said he'd get the dog pound inked up because he knew we were coming with a movement. Just like my shirt said, look at that dog pound. Got the signature on the bottom. You see it. You see it.
I love it. So tell us what else you got going on, Jerome. I think you obviously were a star in the Big Three.
Yep.
I think you're playing this year, but they're doing something with the children, right?
Yeah, young three is big. 3-on-3 is going to be Olympic sport. So that's another big thing and big market for Robo point guard. RPG is going to be in the 3-on-3 aspects of this thing, half court, a lot of drills, a lot of things going on. So young three was just another movement. I connected with the NBRPA, National Basketball Retired Players Association. So we teamed up in a lot of the cities around the U.S. To bring basketball to the kids, to the youth. So we did boys and girls clubs at lower income areas. Ice Cube was really potent about giving back to the community, which I love. I'm all about that. And we wanted to make sure they got not only a unique experience, but something that they would remember for a long time.
And you got another project too, right? Shooting for Peace, I think it's called. So what is that, Jerome?
Well, you know what? The dog pound, we don't get much sleep. They're just like our playing days. With every ounce of minute I have in my body, I make sure I get something done, something accomplished. And Shooting for Peace is no different. So basically, this is a program we started about 5 years ago. And basically, I used all the legends at my disposal that I knew in my Rolodex. And we started doing all-star weekends where we would come into a school and just and basically put on a students versus teacher game, but it was legends versus students. Because we get a lot of trash talk going on. These kids, they always think they're grown. They can do this. They can do that. JYD, we can take JYD. We can dunk on you. And I just be like, okay, you want to know the truth? You can't handle the truth. But I'm going to be at your school. I'm going to bring some of my guys. You bring your best five. I'll bring my best five. So, LA, downtown, I had my wet shooter, Allen Houston. They don't call him water H2O for nothing. He came in there over almost 50-year-old, gray hairs popping everywhere, but the raining threes was going through the hoop. The kids didn't know what hit them. Before you know it, they were down 20 and trying to figure out who they could sub in. They wanted to sub in the principal. I said, you know what? Principal can't help you. You in trouble. You called us out. You called out the legends. Now we're here. So, but it's all in fun, and that's just the fun part of it. Obviously, we do African-American history, financial literacy, and mental health for the students all across the country. We're in 122 schools. This past year, our event in Chicago went off without a hitch. Now, I have to admit, the Chicago kids, they were up to speed. We did allow them to end the game on a tie, just because, I was feeling very generous. I was feeling like, I'm not trying to, our reputation is kind of being out there. We are undefeated. We haven't been defeated yet as legends. So let me just put that out there. I know everybody's watched The Last Dance. We're like, the all-star team, not including Michael Jordan. So we're having a lot of fun, and Shooting for Peace is raising a lot of awareness for kids and, and also scholarships, man. HBCUs, we're giving up so far $8.7 million in scholarships. That's Shooting for Peace.
Wow.
Fantastic. Wow.
That's incredible.
So, Vince, anything else from your side?
Well, last thing for me, I mean, I know you showed us some stuff from your Georgetown days, but anything else in the room there? Because I'm looking behind, I'm seeing all these jerseys and pictures and stuff. Is there anything else you want to show off for us there, Jerome?
Come on, man. Look, that's my
Yes.
retired jersey back there. And that jersey
Raptors. I see the Raptors. Yep.
got the Raptors up there. I got the Magruder High School jersey. Over
Wow.
here is just some of the, that's
Yeah,
David Stern. That's taking
Okay.
in, the first ever handshake getting into the NBA. If you go down here, if you look at that picture, you see some very famous people.
Yeah.
That's the draft. That's where it was getting done in 1996 with Steve Nash, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant. You see him.
It's awesome.
What
Marcus
picture
Camby.
is that, Jerome? What is that picture of? What's that group?
That was my draft class. Stand next to me, Peja Stojakovic, right there.
Love
Yeah.
Paige.
Peja. Yeah, Ray Allen right there. Oh, yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah. You see him. And then the other page, that's my mom up there giving me a hug when I got drafted. Over here, Alonzo Mourning. I was dunking on a lot of cats. There's a lot of dunks going on. They called me in the air, but this was one of my favorites right here. Just making sure the kids understand you got to read books. You got to read, got to be about education, because that's the only thing that can really help, our generation, our next generation being educated. So that's what I'm all about.
Hey, well, I appreciate it. And as somebody who's done a lot of tutoring and worked with grade school kids and all that stuff, even more, man. I mean, for everything you're doing, absolutely awesome. And I just appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to share everything with us. It's been great.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. Robo point guard, man, we're coming. We're doing it big. Look for us at CES. It's about to go down. If you haven't gotten in touch with Bill already, you better get some shares before they're all gone. Because at the end of the day, when we start selling these things, they see the next prodigy with it, they're going to say, hey, you know what? We should have listened. Because might I add, this is going to be a very economical machine. Technology has put us in a position where, he's going to be able to fire these off at a very cost-effective cost, much lower than what they're spending with Dr. Dish and the gun. And, it's going to make it very feasible for a lot of kids to be running around with their own point guard, like they're walking the dog.
Maybe we need to call it the dog. I was actually thinking a better name could be the Ben Simmons, the point guard that never shoots. It could be just a stat.
Shout out to Ben Simmons. That wasn't me, Ben. That wasn't me. That was Ryan.
I spent half the night in Australia. I'm a diehard Sixer fan. I just hope he shoots when he comes back. Bill, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jerome, all the best to Players TV. The big three. Vince, I'll let you kind of wrap up and close out from your side.
Well, yeah, guys, again, I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes, learned a lot talking to both of you, and really excited for Robo PG and excited to see how it does. I mean, good luck with everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Vince.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vince. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Jerome.
All right, well, that's our interview with Bill and Jerome. Ryan, the thing's crazy. I mean, it's a robot that loads basketballs, it throws basketballs at you. You can tell it where to go. Like I don't know. It's an amazing product. I thought it was great.
It's the future. It's the social distancing robot. It's going to help you enhance your game no matter where you are. So look, fantastic. I've loved Robo Point Guard from the beginning. Jerome was phenomenal. Looking forward to following their journey and see where this goes with FIBA.
Yeah, and just following Jerome. I mean, Jerome is an interesting dude right there. I mean, that guy, he's full of personality. I'm glad, to get an athlete on. That was our first athlete on the show. That was great. But to get Jerome on with I love his vibe, man. He's just a fun dude. So anyway, by the way, because now I'm seeing you drink a little glass of wine there, Mr. Ryan McCumber. So what do you got?
Well, tonight's beverage of choice is the Pacheca, which is pretty much my go-to wine the whole time I've been in Portugal. And when I say go-to, what am I on here? Day 90-something. and I'm having roughly a bottle or two a day, and I probably bought 30 bottles of this Pacheco. It is the go-to. You know you're going to get exactly what you want. It's actually, I chose it specifically today for Jerome because it's going to give you 10 rebounds, 10 points a game. This is not the Jordan. This is not the Kobe. This is not the Iverson. You're not going to spend a fortune to get this bottle. You're going to get something that's just exactly what you want for a quality price. Actually, I looked it up today just to read what it says online of this bottle. So it's a Duro red, so it's a Duro, and it literally says it's light to dark and intense with flavors of dark fruit, herbal, and schist. I don't know what schist is.
No, I've been told to eat schist a couple of times, but that's about it. I've never drank it.
I don't know what schist is either, but let's just go with it. It says the wines are often inky purple due to the thickening of the skin, and by all means, it's always good. That's the recommendation. So, to that, if I'm a coach in the NBA, you throw Jerome Williams in the game, you know exactly what you're getting. You know exactly what you get with this wine. You're going to get a star who's going to go all out and try this hardest.
Yeah, no schist. Now, that's so I guess with that, we're going to wrap it up here for episode 7. So I am Vince Quinn. That is the Cumber, the Cucumber, the Ryan McCumber experience out there in Portugal. And we are powered by Fist here at New Arenas. We'll talk to you soon.